Intro. All right, so I want to introduce our speaker today. Talk Shop is so honored to have retired U.S. Navy Line Commander Peggy Lau share some of her wisdom today on the mindset that will help you overcome adversity. Set my timer here. Peggy has been an inspiration to people, young and old, throughout her life. Her status on social media says, world traveler, adventurer, lover of life, living a life without limitations, entrepreneur. That's pretty awesome. She created a vision board many years ago and has already seen many of those vision board representations come true. You will hear more about Peggy's life in a few minutes. Currently, she is a representative for Club Secret, where she helps her customers enjoy adventures and first-class vacations at a bargain price. She offers lotions and potions with beaches and oceans. So ask her about Club Secret. Peggy lives some affirmations that are very important, and here they are. I work hard to be the best. She says to herself, I am the best. I am more than qualified. And you've done that throughout your life. She says, throw off weights of resentment, unforgiveness, and negative talk, and say to yourself, I will find a way. I will find a way. You're going to hear more about that in just a few minutes. So let's start at the beginning where you developed your attitude, Peggy. Let's talk about how you developed the affirmations that have made you the person of honorable character and contributed to your success and your contributions to others' successes. So far, she hadn't said a thing. Well, because of time, I'm going to go through and just enumerate some things throughout her life. If you want to jump in and make a short comment. She's got some stories. I'm trying to save time for you to hear. All right, when I asked her to do this outline, she started with, I was born. Her father walked out of the hospital when he found out that she was a girl. She was raised in a household where women did housework, cooking, raising the children. And in the midst of that, can we spotlight that, Susan? Spotlight this particular frame so everybody can see it.
Better hurry, her arm's gonna get
Right, that's right.
There we go. All right. But besides that, she learned how to drive a stick shift at age 12. Didn't you do some errands for your dad?
Yes, my dad sent me at the age of 12 and on with the car to the hardware store and different places.
She raised 3 younger brothers when her mother was in college and going to work. You attended 13 different schools. The judge, her parents went through a divorce, and the judges declared it
The bloodiest divorce he's ever seen in Detroit.
Oh, wow.
She ran away to live with her grandmother and her father. She started running to get to school and home. How many miles, Peggy?
25
25 miles round trip running.
a day.
A day. When you graduated, what did your father tell you?
He said, congratulations, now your rent is this much. And if you expect to go to college, he said, it's on you. And if you want a car, go buy one yourself. And I don't believe girls should go to college. He said, I think you should marry and have babies.
And he had funded her brother's college and helped them, but would not help Peggy. But you didn't get resentful. You didn't let that get you down.
I went and got a job at Pepe's.
You actually worked 5 jobs at a time to make it.
And then I got 4 other jobs.
So you could go to school, you could buy a car, and you started playing softball.
Yep.
She played softball. Not only that, but she was on a traveling team, and you guys were runner-up to, all right, y'all got this? Runner-up to world champions. The lady is a champion. All right, good. She went to college. Of course, she officiated basketball, baseball, softball, volleyball. She was on the Wheaties. There you go, her Wheaties box. All right, Peg. She have a lot of achievements there. She taught school, inner city junior high for 1 year. She officiated, and then you applied for the Detroit Police Department. What did they tell you there, Peg?
They told me to, the police department told me that women had to have a college degree and that they could be administrative. Men could have a high school diploma and they could be policemen.
And she applied for medical school. It told her to go home and have babies. She got in the fire department, but I want to keep moving here. After the fire department, she went into the US Navy. She went to boot camp. She went through a lot of different training, physical fitness. She was a physical fitness director. But then in the years she was in the Navy, what did you want to do, Peg? You wanted to go to sea, didn't you?
I begged to go to sea. And this is before women were on ship, before women were out of the office. And I literally tugged like a child on my commanding officer's sleeve. I asked every single day as he came into work if I could go to sea. Sir, please send me to sea. The men are crying that they have to go to sea, and I want to go to sea. I joined the Navy to go to sea. Sir, please send me to sea. I mean, I was just relentless. Finally, he gave in after I asked him, what do I have to do to go to sea? What is it I have to do? So he said, if you pass the swim quals that the flight officers have to do, then I'll send you to sea. So I quickly signed up to go to the swim quals where they poked a hole at me and I'm in full flight gear, boots, gloves, helmet, flight suit, and I'm having to stay afloat, not float, but stay upright. And they're poking a pole at me to push me down. And this is like a 30-minute stay afloat. And I had zero body fat at the time. And they're just trying to drown me. But out of stubbornness and desire to go to sea, I made it through that. Anyway, long story, I get back to the commanding officer and I put my certificate down on his desk and I got to go to sea.
We were talking about this the other night, and she said to herself, I work hard to be the best. And she did. You did.
I did.
You said, I am the best. I am more than qualified.
I am.
You had to work hard, but that made you more than qualified. You threw off the weights of resentment and any negative talk you had heard. And you said to yourself, what? I will find a way. I will find a way. Okay, well then you went to sea, but then you had a change of command, and what happened?
Oh, I got a commanding officer who told me that girls were like our sisters and our mothers, and we could not expect to be in charge, that we could not expect to be anything more than little girls, and we had to be looked after. And he rated me lowest in the command because I was a woman. And I was dumbfounded. I was so angry. I worked my butt off in that command, and he rated me low, and I was furious. And my executive officer told me to go home and calm down and go back in with a list, which I did. But the commanding officer said, what are you so upset about? We have to take care of you. You can't expect to be in charge of anything.
But you overcame.
So I continued.
You can't expect to be in charge. Wow.
That's
sorry.
exactly right. So anyway, I continued to do my top performance. And I got this commanding officer again later on. And he came up to me with books and said, see, it says right here that women are not superior. Men are superior to women. It
But
says right
Peggy,
here.
not to interrupt you, but you overcame and overcame again. I want you to tell, I know there's so many stories I want y'all to hear, but you got top officer reviews, and then you were assigned to a very interesting assignment. It's called Panama Operation Just Cause. You actually got, you had to make a harrowing escape from jail, and tell the story about that.
Yes, Operation Just Cause, we had gone in and basically blown up a lot of the buildings in Panama.
We're talking drug traffic, Noriega, Panama.
And so when I got down there, I was sent down to clean up Dodge. Because I was sent down on short order. Literally, I packed a seabag. And so when I got down there, I had a commanding officer who was an alcoholic. I had an executive officer and a command master chief who were recovering alcoholics. And I had a chief in my admin office that was an alcoholic. And people were hiding under their desks, and it was just a mess. So I got down there to clean up Dodge. Well, I wound up taking a photograph during my indoctrination that I felt was a winner for a contest. So I had it developed downtown, and I went to pick it up, and I was driving back through the downtown area, and I got lost. That's the truth of it. I got lost and I was in the wrong part of town. And I was stopped at a street, and a taxi driver sped around the corner and hit my outside bumper. And so, as being a good citizen, I stopped, and a policeman came along walking and took me to jail.
Because you were a military, you were the enemy.
I'm military, I'm American, and I'm female. And I didn't have a Panamanian driver's license because we had blown it up. So away to jail I go. Well, there's something called a provost marshal. And a provost marshal is an army individual who speaks Spanish fluently, who is there to interface the Panamanians. Well, he came to the jail to help me get out of the situation, or at least remediate the situation the best he could. Well, he worked his way with me through the chain of command. And he started at the front desk, and they said, no, we're not letting her go. Well, as I started up the stairs, I saw the jail itself. The jail itself was a dirt floor with a bunch of guys in it that looked like they had bugs in their hair. And they were pretty eager to have me locked up with them. Well, the stairs were worn concrete. Now I want you to remember back to the movie Zorro. So as I walk up the stairs, he's taking me along up the stairs, and he's saying to me, this does not look very good, just stay close to me. So I did. He gets to the next person in the chain of command, and he says, no, senor, no, we're not letting her go. Well, we get up to the final guy, who is sitting behind the desk with a naked light bulb, and he looks like Sergeant Garcia with the big belly. And he's sitting there going, no, senor. No, she's not going home. Well, I was pretty much shaking in my boots by this time, thinking about those guys in the prison taking advantage of me, and I was not a happy camper. So on the way out of that office and down the stairs, the provost marshal handed me his keys to his car, and he said, I drive this kind of car. Here are my keys. He said, I'm going to start a diversion downstairs. And when I do, he said, I want you to slip out, get in my car, get on the floor, lock the car, and do not open the car for anybody but me. And just lay low until I get there. So that's what I did. He started a diversion, started a fight, and I snuck out of the jail and got in his car, and that's the story. So when I got back to my command the next day, the alcoholic commanding officer says, well, if it had to happen to anybody, I'm sure glad it was you.
Well, during that time when you were cleaning up Dodge, as you say, tell the story about why, sir, I'd be delighted.
Well, the division officers had a meeting every day, and we had a long table in the conference room, and we had certain positions. We sat at our positions. The commanding officer sat at the head of the table, and so on and so forth. Well, I sat a couple positions away, and the operations officer sat next to the executive officer, and I called him Shrugs, because every time he was asked, the commanding officer would say, XO, make this happen. The XO would turn to the operations officer and say, operations officer, make this happen. The operations officer would go, I don't know. I can't seem to make it happen. I don't know what this is. I was like, anyway, the executive officer would turn to me next and say, can you make this happen? I'd say, why, sir, I'd be delighted. And I'd put it down on my paper. And this would happen all the time. Why, sir, I'd be delighted. And, and so my list grew and grew. And pretty soon I would say, why, sir, I'd be delighted. But can you tell me which of these is my priority?
Yeah, long list.
Yeah, I had a very long list. But anyway, by the time I left that command, I will tell you, the other officers, except for Shrugs, started to do that as well. Why, sir, I'd be delighted.
Operation, that was a very successful operation you did there, Just Cause. This speeding on, and we did a 2-hour one of these on film at my house a couple of weeks ago. So if you want to hear it, you
just ask me.
Just ask her. It is a lot of good stories like this. You went to you went ahead and got your Master's of Education, Army Staff and General War College, Leavenworth, Kansas, Armed Forces Staff College, Norfolk, Virginia, Commanding Officer, Military Entrance Processing Station, Indianapolis, Indiana, Navy Recruiting Command, Arlington, Virginia. You retired, but you stayed in the Navy. You did some internet and website development for them. Then you got into World Ventures at the time. Now it's Club Secret. You actually you were living your dream for a while there.
Right.
But what was one or two of the most exciting trips you took with your club?
I have to say that Maribel was one of the most exciting trips I've taken. It was it's on the west coast of Mexico, and it has 2 bedrooms, 2 baths, full living room, kitchen, full kitchen. It's,
living the dream.
it was absolutely gorgeous. 2 pools right on the ocean, all you can eat, all you can drink, $500 for a week.
And she's done this multiple times. I actually went on an 8-day cruise with her. The cost was $664, and I ate more than that, I promise you.
Yeah.
On that club trip. It was,
Ask about the softball.
oh, softball. We've got a little bit of extra time, so I want her to tell a story, because remember I told you that she played softball. This was her expertise. They were world champions. Now she's in the Navy. She wants to play softball for the Navy. But what were the odds of you getting on there, and how did you find a way, Peggy?
When I joined the Navy, the recruiter told me, all you'll do is play softball. I thought, sign me up. So when I got in the service and went to boot camp, I questioned whether or not that would even happen. But when I finally got to know that there was such a thing and I could play softball, and I signed up and got sent to all Navy softball, there were 72 women who showed up, and there were 15 slots on the team. And not only that, but there were people who had been there before, so they most likely would be on the team. So anyway, I had practiced and worked my tail off. I had been running 10 miles a day. I had been working out, so I was prepared.
During lunch, you actually were practicing some positions that you had never played before because they were available.
Well, I was prepared. I had been drilling myself like crazy. So I knew I was prepared. I knew I was qualified. But
You had to find a way.
I had competition. I had a lot of competition, and the odds were very small. But so 72 women were there, and the first cut was about 10 days in, and he cut the team in half. So there's, not only did he cut the team in half, but he said, these 12 people have already made the team. So there's 3 slots left, and there's 36 women left, minus the 12 that have made the team. So the position that I wanted, which was catcher, was already taken. So I evaluated what positions were not taken, and I started practicing them while everybody was back in the barracks resting. And so I started playing outfield and having somebody drill me in the outfield. I'd never played outfield in my life. So I started practicing out there during the hot noontime sun. And I just started working and working and working. Anyway, the last of it was, he made another cut for the injuries, and he took us over to the gymnasium, and he sat us down on the floor, spread us out, and gave us a piece of paper and a pencil, and he said, I'm gonna cut your orders home
For plane tickets.
with plane tickets, and I want you to write down whether or not you want to go home on Friday or whether you want to go home on Monday. That's all I want to know. Friday or Monday. Put your name on the top of the paper and write down Friday or Monday. I wrote down, I'm not going home. And I turned it in, and when he came out to the ball field that night, I didn't get a ticket. So
You got a place on the team.
I got a place on the team. So I came to the Navy tryouts to make the team, and that's what I did.
Again, those affirmations, very, very evident during that time. Okay, things are going really good. you're going on all these vacations, you're actually living your dream. And suddenly you went to Detroit to visit some family, just driving down the road, and your life was changed in a second. What happened?
I went home, back to Detroit, to actually go to a funeral. And, the funeral was one of my teammates that I played world championship ball with. She had died from, diabetes. And I felt, since I hadn't been home and reassociated with these people, that I really needed to go back and connect with my gang. And so I borrowed a car from my stepmother and was about 2 miles away from the house. And on a bright sunny day, and it was a Sunday, I was driving through a green light, and a lady decided to turn left in front of oncoming traffic and turned right in front of me without my even seeing her. And she totaled all 3 cars, my car, the car next to me that was oncoming, and her own car, and about took me off this earth. And I blacked out. I thought I had died. I thought I had left this earth, honest to goodness. I have a traumatic brain injury. I have 2 shoulders that, because my hands were on the wheel, that need replacing. I have crushed kidneys that are at 60% right now, and we're coddling them. And I have other injuries from that accident.
And since we're coming up on time, I just want to say Peggy was our executive officer for Talk Shop in 2014, 15, 16, 17, 18. And she had to take a leave of absence because Peggy had to learn how to speak again. Peggy had to get to where she could walk again. She was having trouble with decision making. And I want to say that Peggy, whenever we would go see her or call on her, these were her affirmations. I will work hard to be the best. I am the best. I am more than qualified. You threw off the weight of resentment, of unforgiveness, of any negative talk over you, and you said, I will find a way. Peggy is sitting here today talking with us, walked in on her own. And then as we were celebrating this, what happened next?
Well, after the accident, it took me a good year.
We've got about 3 minutes.
It took me a good year to get up and walk again and start the process of healing. And just as I got better, I had a mammogram, and the mammogram showed that I had cancer. And so that was last 2022, and I had breast cancer, and I've spent this past year after a mastectomy, and I've had chemotherapy, and I just had my last chemotherapy appointment last April 3rd.
And what was it?
So I am now cancer-free.
Peggy, are there any final statements you want to make today in our presentation? Anything you can say to us?
Yes, I want to first say that I've had an awesome life. Although you've heard a lot of challenging things from me, I have had an absolutely amazing life. I couldn't have asked for a life more filled with amazing things. I just am, I'm in awe of the things that I've done. And I want to say to people that if you want to do anything, put on your paper, I'm not going home.
Peggy Lau, retired U.S. Navy line commander. She is a leader. She is an encourager and she is our friend. And I just want to thank you for taking the time today to share with us about your affirmations and your mindset to overcome adversity. Yes, sir.
I think we understand it all.
Yes.
Yeah, that's amazing.
Thank you.
There you go.
All right. Peggy, thank you so much. All right, call her and
Leanne wants to know when her book's coming.
Yeah, that's right, to do a book.
we have 2 hours too. I filmed her 2 hours of stories. If you want to get with Peggy.
We need to have a movie night.
Yes, Peggy's
That'd be great. Yeah.
love you, Peg. Love you, Peggy.
Okay.
Right, bye. So
I have a gift.
she has a gift to give away.
Anybody who can tell me the closest to how deep the Dead Sea is below sea level.
No, we should know
Wow,
that.
it'd be-
It's fluctuated so much.
400,
It's not 12 feet.
400.
Say again.
112,
No,
1,000.
keep going.
1,200.
Who said 12?
I just said 1,200.
Who said 12?
Or 12 or 1,200. I think she said 1,200. It's
You're close.
1,900.
14.
Who said, what did you say?
Well, I said 15. She said
Not,
1,200.
not 15. Who said 12?
She did. She did.
All right,
Lynn, I
you're
said
close.
12.
It's, the number is 1,300.
Oh,
It's 1,300 and the only way water gets into the Dead Sea is if it flows in. The only way it flows out is evaporation.
Wow. Well, hey, I can use that beauty product.
This is body butter. It's pomegranate body butter and it is from the Dead Sea.
Thank you.
All right, guys, you know what's next? Bam Bam. You see the people in the room? Those of you online, I think we've lost some of them. So Chris, did you want to do a one-on-one with Margarita?